Then their partner, like Aaron plays piano, he's a very skilled pianist. It's like level of technical skill.
Not yet.
I remember.
Let's see. stay tuned.
I always have someone taller than like.
Check 1, 2. There we go, that's better. All right, my voice is too tired to be without a microphone because this is the 4th full day of the Festival for Creative Pianists. That was our teaching artists and participants, by the way, who I'm glad have had a wonderful time because we want to come back to Montpelier to do this again. And the rest of the audience who didn't clap and scream, I think you will be after this concert because this is going to be a really special experience. So my name is Luke Brackers. I'm the director of the Festival for Creative Pianists. And we have a mission to uplift creative voices at the piano, helping piano students, teachers, enthusiasts, everybody interested in piano to help celebrate and discover creative voices at this beautiful instrument that has really stood the test of time. And it just happens to be the instrument I love inside the Festival for Creative Pianists. We have a number of different programs, but this is sort of our flagship in-person program, I guess you would say. It ran for a couple decades in the Rocky Mountain region. The pandemic did what it did, and it ceased in Colorado, and now starting up for the first year in person since then here in Montpelier, Vermont. And we really want to come back to this, have this event in this town because it's been such an amazing experience this week. So this is one of our programs. We also have an online community. We publish music through a catalog, what we call Abundant Silence, and Daniel is going to play several pieces from our catalog and talk a little bit more about new music in those pieces during the concert. And we also have a few other programs, one of which was created this year by a wonderful friend, colleague, composer Ayumi Okada. And this is our Pianist in Residence program. We had a couple of dozen applications, and it was so difficult to choose, but a few people rose to the top, and one of them was our headline concert artist tonight.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
Thank you. Great.
But learn. I'll save it. I'll keep building you up. Yeah, keep building you up.
Yes.
But please go online to learn more about the festival. festivalforcreativepianists.org. There's activities and opportunities for all ages, all skill levels. It's an intergenerational program and opportunity. And please donate, show your financial support if you can. We really want this to come back to Montpelier next year. And we're in this beautiful space too, which they're doing some amazing work here. There's huge plans for this space. I'm so excited. So please also support the Montpelier Performing Arts Hub. There's restrooms on this side of the building, so down the steps. Also concessions in the back, so if you need a treat, a drink, go grab some concessions. And just a huge thank you to Kiana and all the team. There's been so many team members from the Performing Arts Hub this week. We really appreciate all you've done. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And Orca Media has been doing all of our film work this week and live streaming the concert tonight, which is really awesome. Thank you, Orca Media, too. Let's give them a huge round of applause. We had some other wonderful sponsors in town. Monteverdi Music School, which is where all of our morning activities were, our great community music school in town, and Capra Grounds, 802 Coffee, Steinman's Piano, all of these amazing local businesses who support the arts in our community. And all of you, thank you for supporting local music in Montpelier. Now, okay. Daniel Inamorato, a Brazilian-American queer artist, avant-garde researcher, working at the intersection of keyboards, piano, Japanese buta dance, and political art. This is going to be such a wonderful experience. Thank you, Daniel, for being with us all the way from Virginia. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about the first piece that we're going to hear today. A few weeks, if not a month and a half ago, I was talking to my friend Daniel Rofer, that is also another Daniel from Brazil. We grew up in the same region. We actually went to the same music conservatory, and now both of us live in the US, so it's kind of a lot of coincidence there.
Wow.
And I knew that he had many preludes that I liked a lot. I give him many of his pieces for children to my students. And so I asked him to send some of the quarantine music that he wrote. And so we have a world premiere of a piece today that musicians love saying, and that basically means that we're the first audience in the world that's going to listen to this music. I might even say in the universe. I can't prove it that in alternative universes they haven't heard it, but I'm pretty sure here that it's a prelude in E flat major and ABA, and I would like you to just come over real quick to kind of let us know a little bit about what prompted you to write this piece during the pandemic.
Hello everybody. So first I would like to thank Daniel to this premiere. It's such an honor for me. So in the quarantine, I released my first piano album for children, Strangeland, and at the same time I was writing preludes, and I thought it would be nice to name them as preludes of quarantine with the number of the week that I was finishing each prelude. So this is the last one, and it's the week 28th, even though we had much more than only 28 weeks of quarantine, right? So, but this is pretty much what happened. So thank you very much for everybody.
In selecting music for tonight, I was tasked the really difficult, really annoying task of going through a music catalog, which for a musician is candy land, right? And I went through, of course, every single piece in the silent catalog, and realized that there were vocal pieces that were quite interesting and weird and out there, and I wanted to showcase them, even though I haven't sang in a while. And so I was like, you know what, let's just, bring it out and give it a try. So I sing 3 songs for you. The first song is from, it's not in the catalog, it's from a friend at Indiana University, Aaron Travers. He composed a song about this person that is a little bothered that they lost something and they don't want to kind of give up to that emotion, so they are talking to this pet that they lost. The second song is about a snowflake that is also bothering a person and that is observing this snowflake falling and falling and falling again, just to pick itself up and fall again. So it's just one snowflake that won't quit. And the third is also a person that is a passive observer, that is kind of not necessarily able to count or to tell apart the sparrows that they see. There is suddenly a flock of sparrows in town. And so I hope you enjoy Aaron Travers, Chet Burford, the lunatic, and Andrew List, that's going to tell us about his pieces in a second, of sparrows.
Pussycat, where have you been? I've been to London to look at the Queen. Pussycat, pussycat, what did you there? I frightened a little mouse under the chair. Pussycat, pussycat, what did you leave? I left to give you a moment to grieve. Pussycat, pussycat, will you return? Not till she has brought me a savory arm. Pussycat, pussycat, where did you go? I went to heaven where violets grow. In, just in, now out, up, 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 but back in, fast flipping, flabberty jabbit, touch, flabberty jabbit, reel.
A flagellum of sparrows,
song chirping tree house, Westfield larka.
how to tell you all apart.
So,
You said Festival for Pianists. We are trying things today. So yes, thank you, our travelers. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chid, that is watching online, for these wonderful depictions. I would like to play for you now an evolution of a project. So one of my favorite things to do is to kind of practice etudes and see if I can put in sequences and check when I finish an etude, what would be the coolest etude to play right next without stopping and, kind of thread pieces. And so I do that sometimes with etudes and with Guarnieri Pompeius, and I try to play around with different eras to see if I can get a kind of wave of non-stop music, right? And then I started thinking about threads as quilts, where you actually have contrasting patterns, and you can imagine that the first image you have is kind of the main thing that the brain grabs, but you have a contrasting one that is kind of shocking. And eventually, when you do it over and over, you kind of start getting used to the idea of that quilt. And so that quilt becomes a unity, and you don't necessarily feel bothered anymore that the patterns are kind of contrasting. So I start this sequence with a contrasting etude and jump into a very contrasting etude right after to kind of give that feeling of quilt of etudes. The first etude is by João Ottaviano, a Brazilian composer, and the remaining etudes are by Mostovski. Buongiorno. So one funny thing that has been a new thing to us is technology. And so I am not winking at you guys, I'm turning my pages with my winks. Yeah? And so of course, sometimes the pages are turning, but we are learning how to work with that. And I think, yes, next we have Ayumi. We are going to play, I'm going to play a piece that Ayumi wrote. Why don't you please come over? You're here. You can help. You can help.
Hi.
Hi.
So the piece,
Yes, please.
so this piece I wrote as part of the suite called the Daily Life of Childhood, and Luke actually suggested me to revise it and then make this as individual piece. So I was so glad to do that. And it's about based on it's about the kids going to school. It's based on my own experience growing up in Japan, where kids go to school on their own, like usually a group of kids walking together to school. And then naturally it's kids, so you're distracted on the way on the random things. And then in this piece, the kids start working nicely, briskly, focused, but distracted by water puddle, jumping, and then kick water to each other, and then try to come back and get back to the track, but distracted by another thing that they encounter on the way, which is a little creature. I hope you get it from the music cues. And then they try to chase it, and then how it goes, I hope the music tells it. And eventually the question is whether they get to school on time or not. So, thank you so much, Daniel.
kids got to school. I am completely addicted to one program of these 3-4-year-olds in Japan walking by themselves to buy groceries or to go to school, and the parents stay home, and the cameras are all around them, but they have to go by themselves. And of course, it's so dramatic. You know nothing's going to happen, but it's so dramatic, and you are like, oh, they forgot the orange, or oh my God, the key fell. And so this piece spoke to me so quickly, as your beautiful soul did too. And by the way, I want to thank you, I want to thank Luke, I want to thank the organization of the festival, the board, and I want to thank the faculty that is super generous, beautiful people. The students are amazing, and I don't think I have ever found in the United States, and I have been here for 15 years, a more open and friendly city. It has been really remarkable to see people just coming at you on the streets, people dancing on the streets, people a little chaotic roads, a little bit, people randomly in the middle of the street, but it has been amazing, and I'm really thankful that you're all here and that you invited me and my friends to be here. Wonderful. Did I forget anything? I think we have now a long piece ahead of us. So the story of how I decided to play these pieces, they are also in the catalog. I was going to perform 3 of them because, time to learn, so you have to kind of get things together. And then a few weeks later, I was like, okay, but maybe if I play 5 of them, I can, just 5, just 6. Just 6, let's stop at 6. And then 2 weeks ago, I was like, well, they haven't played already 10 of them, and so why don't I just play 12, right? So, yes, this happened. And so we are going to sit through all 12. I think it's actually one of the most remarkable writings I have seen in quite a while. It's beautiful how Andrew just gave these gods a life of their own. And so I can hear the snake, I can hear I sometimes feel like I'm looking in the eyes of the devil. And I would like for you to please come over and kind of let us know about this, because it's a remarkable project. So, Andrew.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Daniel for playing this piece. I got an email a couple of weeks ago from Luke, and it said, oh, Daniel has chosen your etudes, and I emailed him and said, well, how many are you going to do? Because usually people do 3 or 4, 6 or 8. And, but when you create something that's a group that really belongs together, because this comes from the Dendera Zodiac, and the Dendera Zodiac is the oldest, it's a zodiac of the ancient world from 50 BC, and it has Egyptian gods, and it also has Greek gods on it. And they say that it was a perfect map of the ancient sky from 50 BC. And so it really kind of needs to all be played together. I've always been, okay, you play 3, that's okay.
That's exactly how I felt. That they had the sequence. It's hard to stop. So yeah.
People do play the Chopin etudes a few, but it's kind of nice to hear the whole thing. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it, because these gods are on the Dendera Zodiac, and Dendera was a very holy place in ancient Egypt. And it's the temple of Hathor, who was the goddess of love. And if you want to see the disc, which is this giant, beautiful disc, it's now in the Louvre Museum, probably for over 100 years. And that's the way it goes, right? But I just want to say there's some relationship to these gods. First off, there's the Holy Family, which is Isis, Osiris, and Horus, their son. So they're a holy family, they're a connection. We have 2 underworld gods. We have Osiris, who's the god of the underworld, and who also judges. And we have Anubis, who is the god of mummification. And the way things worked was, when you passed, Anubis would mummify you, but you would then have to take the trip through the tunnel. They would weigh your heart with a feather of Moab. And if it turned out okay, you would be able to have a happy life in the afterworld. If it didn't turn out okay, then you were eaten by a monster and you were a zombie. I think we have a lot of zombies walking around this world now. Maybe they need to go back to the tomb. Anyway, am I talking too much?
No, please go. No.
I want to say just a couple of things. Thoth is the god of wisdom and magic. He actually invented wisdom and he invented magic. And as my friend said, if he was around now, he would have invented a computer. He's that kind of god. And he records things. And Amon-Re, who was a very important god in the New Kingdom, there was a time when they only had one god, if you can believe the ancient Egyptians, and Amon-Re was it, came out of obscurity, becomes the main god, and then goes out to obscurity. So you're going to hear this repeated F sharp coming from something very ethereal to very full to back to very ethereal. Phoenix. Phoenix is actually the god that is connected to the soul of the departed. And the phoenix would go and visit in the tomb and reconnect with the body. So that's why it was so important to have the body, because the Ba, which is one of the souls of the human, was reconnected. Sekhmet and Hathor are a group. They're actually the same god with two different personalities. Hathor, the goddess of love, and Sekhmet, the god of divine retribution, who has a big, nasty temper. And when Sekhmet got upset, she tried to destroy the world in blood, Noah's flood. This is where the Noah's flood thing comes. And just before she destroyed everybody, she turned into the goddess of love, and all was saved. And Wadjet, the snake goddess, who was an important goddess of the protecting of the pharaohs. Shu, the goddess of the sky. The two children were the sky and the earth. So Shu is an important god because it separates the earth from the sky. And lastly, Sphinx, the guardian of the sanctuary. Thank you again, Daniel.
Pleasure to have you
Thank
here.
you all for listening.
Yes.
If you didn't get enough of Daniel, which I didn't get enough of Daniel, you can see Daniel again tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the UCM Church in Montpelier for another matinee concert, all new music.
We are playing, tomorrow is an homage to victims of mass shootings and George Floyd. And so I'm performing 3 more pieces from the catalog, from Ayumi and Eads. And I will also perform 49 microloops for toy pianos. I will have 7 toy pianos and the pianos. And 3 amazing performers helping me. And these 49 microloops are part of a competition that I organized where 9 composers from 6 countries wrote these homages to these victims. And so microloops are basically very short preludes, and we will go through the 49 while you can read about the stories of these people. So I really hope you can do that tomorrow.
2 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you. Daniel has CDs for sale.
Yes. Yes, any contributions, any memos, anything that you can, and if you can't, that you really want anything.
I figured it was a Steinway.
Thank you. Actually,